Vladimir Putin has responded to Donald Trump pulling out of the weapons agreement that was pinned into law back in 1987 between Reagan and Gorbachev. So he's saying that they're going to match the United States. So that freaking out, folks, and that going on one of my longer-winded rants. We're going to start the day going into this report from CNBC. Putin ups the ante, threatens to develop disputed nukes in response to Trump administration ultimatum. Okay, this is what caught my attention. Putin said Wednesday that he was prepared to develop nuclear-tipped missiles if the U.S. withdrew from a Cold War-era arms agreement. Putin's response comes a day after Secretary of State Mike Pompeo called on Russia to stop violating the INF treaty and come into compliance within 60 days. The arms control agreement prohibits the production or testing of ground-launched cruise missiles with a range of approximately 300 to 3,400 miles. One of the things that I'll be doing on the front page of my YouTube channel, I'll be referencing my interview with Leon Legant. He's had a vision of China and Russia teaming up and attacking this country. Instead of repeat this over and over and over verbatim to save time. And it might already be on the front page in one of the playlists if you haven't seen it already. Because as this type of news becomes more common, there's only so much time in the day. And a lot of this can be draining. And this writing can be a little bit long-winded, but I'm just here to say I believe that on purpose there was an attempt by multiple intelligence agencies to pollute the web with fake news. And this goes back decades. And a lot of it stemming or surrounding geopolitical events, fake close run-ins with World War III types of articles, in a world where we really could be facing invasion of a more militant, military sort or occupation, right? If someone's going to start researching certain things, and I've been talking about this for many, many years, once people start looking for information, a lot of people are going to know what's true and what's false. And there's been the rise of certain websites, and now in recent years, even if you're a fan of the president, right, it has pretty much come out of the box that there has been a certain amount of interference in public opinion on social media. We could even say at the election, saying it's to distract and control the election, to determine the election, I think is a little bit of a distraction. I think the argument that it's about determining the outcome of the 2016 election is a distraction from the truth. I want you to hear me right now. My brothers and sisters, can I get an amen? The distraction is election interference. I'm saying to you that's a distraction because I don't have a dog in the fight. It's two sides of the same coin. I'm coming from that position as a real independent, not a counterfeit independent. So from that position and being a guy that was on Facebook for many, many years, myself, Alex Ansary, on Facebook, but on Facebook no more for multiple reasons. It's not good for mental health, but it's not good for trying to get your content out there. There's a lot of ways in which we're buried by the algorithms. Long story short, a lot of you already know this. If you know that's the issue, walk away then. YouTube is somewhat of a necessary system for now. Kind of a lesser evils, but not much different. And so I've seen how Facebook and YouTube have promoted certain things that are within the disinformation sphere or influence, which a lot of people are not able to identify. Now, how does that connect with this and all of this stuff? Well, we're going to start reading this in just a minute. Just give me a second here. If there are more people of an independent mindset that over the years were not giving Russia the benefit of the doubt and Trump the benefit of the doubt and others, but those two in particular, then we would see more people aware of what's going on right now and not so surprised that they're acting like they're going to be marching towards World War III. It's not really funny. It is something that seems to be confirming my greatest concerns. And we've seen witch hunts within our own society over those that are the believers that things have changed. Those that are the believers, those that will show loyalty to the person that's the president. This is not like, it's one thing to like respect people just in general. Like, hey, I respect you as a human being. I'm not going to overtly disrespect you, but for there to be some sort of belief that we were all meant to, salute the president and become super loyal. Well, that wasn't the case with Obama, and it was okay for a lot of us to be somewhat free thinkers. Same thing with George W. Bush. I don't remember people being too political in the 1990s with Clinton. There were other things going on as a younger person then that were more predominant. People obviously had their concerns with Y2K. A few years after that, we saw 9/11. And as I said yesterday in a video, we really saw the emergence of the new world order then. And we're living out its expansion now through these manufactured wars. So my generation, well, I guess I'm the older of the millennials, but the millennials really seem to be scapegoated, by the way, for like the world's problems. When like you look at the millennials, especially on the younger side, they're going to inherit some really bad stuff. I'm serious. And that's what's so sad about this. They're so demonized. They're so demonized. Oh, the millennials, so demonized. Well, did they build the cell phones? As the cell phones were thrust into their hands? And I could talk about that in another video. How sad that is to see so many of our fellow countrymen and women zombified by this device and kind of what it tells us about the fallen world. So we'll get to that. But they divided the family well in advance and broke down our economy well in advance and got us moved away from an agrarian agricultural way of life, trapped in the cities way in advance before this type of stuff, the path to the next war, seems to be positioned for erupting. So it talks about the agreement signed in 87. And we talked about this a month ago. But it was easy to see years ago that Trump was not what he represented himself to be. And so we've really seen just people fighting over opinions about the president. A lot of accusations. A lot of hatred has been fermented within this country needlessly when it's obvious that nothing's really changed. So think about all that wasted energy and all that insult that people threw out as we go into this. Keep that in mind and don't forget that. Because there's a lot of different themes that come back to where X marks the spot to where society is not being responsible for its actions. And there's so many different stories. I can talk about a guy named Rich. He's being kicked off his land in Costilla County as well. He's 71 years old. He has a story on Henry Macau. I should talk about that in another video. Do you think that a bunch of people, right, that are, people of his political persuasion, do you think they're coming to his aid? Legally and politically? Or do you think to them it's just going to be another story that they read online where they curse the government, local and national, without being there for their fellow brother and sister? See, that's what's really important to understand here, because they've really broken down a sense of morale within our own society, right? And I know I'm going back here into free flow, but sometimes my best thoughts are shared early in the morning. It's 8:33, by the way, folks. And one of these days, I got to get a really good coffee machine, at least one of those little drip things. Because right now, I'm just doing the cowboy coffee style, as that one person put it. We just throw the grains in with the little cup, swirl it around. And so I have to break this up and try to, bring some wisdom into this, a little bit of humor. Try to not lose myself to stress. But 10 years now, 11 years now, since I first interviewed Leon, and he talked about what he foresaw with regards to Russia, with regards to China and the West Coast. He said China would bring the microchip. He didn't give a date. Knowing the solar cycles, I started guessing that we could see this in the mid-2020s, being that that's where we're going to the solar maximum. We can maybe even see them postpone it another decade, but it seems that when they do launch it, this type of conflict that could lead to a U.S. occupation, that it could occur during a solar peak. But I'm trying to help people become aware of this perspective, but you don't have to believe everything that I believe. But if I'm going to be having access to this type of technology that our ancestors did not have, and it's powerful. And people are attempting to wake up and learn what's going on. This is the core of some of the stuff that I cover. And so we're heading into this. We're heading into this period in the 2020s. And we're seeing like these physical world things move into position. What are they moving into position for? And they're not in a hurry. I think we've seen evidence of that. They can even manufacture certain scares, like with Donald Trump and North Korea. Ooh, Donald Trump and North Korea. Maybe they're about to go to blows. Oh, yay, yay. Rodman went over there. We can have an agreement. Oh, they're bros now. Does this seem legit to you? I might as well tell you, and I did glance at the news wire. I'm starting to look a little bit more at the news because I'm starting to cover it more, but not going all out, but here and there. So they play up this whole, Donald Trump and the Clintons. Here's how they greeted each other or didn't greet each other, as CNN plays it up. Well, it's a funeral. I'm not on anybody's side with regards to that. And it's going to be normal. There's going to be awkwardness anyway at a funeral where it's like, hey, how's it going? Yeah, dead person over here. It's like, there's going to be a certain level of awkwardness anyways with the funeral. And so it's like just watching how the media plays stuff up. And even the way, though, Donald Trump looks, he definitely with his haircut, face, looked like some kind of a statue, like a caricature of himself. Everything is just weird about the whole thing. And again, I keep bringing this down to, because I'm noticing more than ever how bread and circus like SNL, and YouTube's always suggesting it to me because I watch a few clips, and looking how like Alec Baldwin, think about like this reality where people watch the comedy shows and that's how their worldview is shaped, but it's not that Donald Trump makes it hard for them. It's almost as if he's writing the script for them, and in a way he is. And you think about that. And also think about other people that have acted in self-destructive ways, like Alex Jones, where people seem to be bad caricatures of themselves, like that concept. And we've seen that. We've seen the rise of certain people almost coming out and acting like performance artists or actors. The question is why? I'd say in this world, a lot of people are know-it-alls. They think they know it all about secret societies. They think they know it all about the establishment. They don't leave enough room for the imagination of what they don't know, that which we don't know. As I say, the wise man is the one who knows he knows nothing. Well, truly, if we apply it to the conspiracy understanding, there's a level of control beyond that which we understand. We understand spokes of it. There's way too many people in this world that act like they're awake, and they want to argue that just Clinton, Soros, the Tooth Fairy, and the Roadrunner did it themselves. And see, there's certain schools of thought, let's not forget the Jews. And so we see certain people, they go down their list of like, and this person, and this, and this, and they're going down like the talking points. And it's like, I'm trying to wake them up and say, if you're really looking for the truth about the evil powers of this world, don't use those popular buzz talking points that everybody else is using. Use original thought. Let me ask you the question, what is the New World Order? Define it for me. But do it in your own words. Attempt to. That doesn't mean that we know everything. We are here, at least I'm speaking for myself, the true speaker, and there's other true speakers and researchers out there. We're here to speak the truth that we understand. And we're gifted with this technology that our gift of communication could be shared with others, and we could be learning at a higher, more rapid rate. Kind of going off on a tangent on that one with regards to consciousness. We have the ability with this technology to evolve and learn at a faster and faster rate. People could begin their journey and awakening. See the sun rays trying to come through the clouds. We're getting ready for another snowstorm, folks. Day 2. Day 2. And things are difficult economically. I want to thank those of you at Patreon because every dollar is going towards the land payments. I live very simply because this is where I want my energy focused. And out there in that world, it is a very cold world. And in this world, oftentimes people like myself, we have to go our own way, literally. In some cases, I may back off certain issues because they may seem a little hot. And other times it's like, okay, now it's time to turn up the heat and return to those button issues because it needs to be talked about. And there are certain things that may upset you or me. We need to realize maybe that's because it's time for us to evolve then beyond certain thinking systems. Certain ways of allowing ourselves to be victimized because ultimately the system wants to program us a certain way to where we view reality a certain way and we end up repeatedly victimized by its institutions, by its archons. We want to learn from our life experiences and learn to turn the table, right? Without becoming that which attempts to oppress us, by being above that, not stooping to certain levels. I can also okay, we'll take a closer look at this. U.S. arms expert says the Kremlin needs to take responsibility. Quote, Russia's violation is unacceptable and requires a firm U.S. and NATO diplomatic, economic, and treaty-compliant military response strategy. Okay, that was told to CNBC. Okay, Putin's response came a day after Secretary of State Mike Pompeo cited material evidence that Russia had quietly added nuke-tipped missiles that are currently banned by the INF treaty. I also mentioned yesterday Pompeo made mention of a new liberal order. And I want to keep going with this. Quote, its range made it a direct menace to Europe, he said after a meeting with his NATO counterparts. Okay, so that's the gist of it. You know, we don't need to go on and on. So we start covering stuff on a more regular basis. Recent meeting between Trump and Xi. There was also some other headline about some other president looking at Xi and drooling. So we have Trump going around the world on a regular basis, meeting with a lot of individuals in person. Within that frame of reference, that right there, there's a lot that could be done in person that's safe, that can't be done across phone lines. What I'm saying is a lot of things are in plain sight. And it seems to a lot of people there's a wild card in all this. Like maybe Trump will do this, and maybe he'll do this, and maybe there'll be like organic decisions that Putin, Xi, and Trump may make. And my opinion has been, even before Trump was even running, that the system is operating a very specific way. That so the people that are placed in power, they're going to be fed a certain script. As I close here, they're going to be fed a certain script. You do this in such and such year. And in such and such year, when we've accomplished this level of division in, say, a particular country, right, where it seems that the United States and Russia are on different sides, but in fact they're not. In some room somewhere on planet Earth, a meeting was held, right, amongst groups. I'm just purely speculating. There were agreements to take down Afghanistan. There were agreements to take down Syria. There were agreements to take down Yemen. And there are certain ways that both countries can act like they're on different sides, but the way in which they interfere with that country ultimately destroys an entire civilization, entire peoples. And through coordinated effort, can multiple nations literally eradicate a certain group of people off the face of the earth forever? I think that we are seeing the attempt to do so. I will be back with more.